Luca, I'm going to show this with you. This is basically a Jedi mind trick.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to try and put an idea of something in your head. Right now, if I said, don't think about the Empire State Building, you can't help it. You already are.
Right, yeah.
Because the information is kind of in the statement, right? So I'm going to try and put an idea of a playing card inside of your head, but I'm not going to say what it is.
Okay.
So I'm just going to put this in here and see if you can pick up on this. Ready? This is what I want you to do. Don't picture anything yet until I say. So I want you to start getting like the color and the suit and maybe the number, and you start to see whatever it is down the middle maybe change, and you start to picture something else. And eventually you're just going to settle on one that feels right.
Okay.
You've got one.
I mean,
what did you have?
7 of hearts.
7 of hearts. It's interesting. So did that feel right to you?
I think so.
Yeah. You did really well. Look.
No way. What? It's crazy.
And you put it in your pocket. You're good, man. You're very good.
I'm speechless.
That's just what you pictured in your mind, right? Mm-hmm. You sure? Do you remember at the beginning? Before we began, we took this out.
That's weird. Wait. No. You're liars. No.
Yeah.
Wow.
You did really well.
There's no way. Get the out of here.
Yeah, do it again with it. All right. I'll do that again. What I want you to do is blank your mind entirely, okay, and just look at me a second. What I want you to do is suddenly, I want you to start to get the color in the suit, start to see the number. All of a sudden, you start feeling what that is. Maybe the things down the middle, the number parts start to change, and you start to picture something else entirely. But whatever it is, at some point, you settle on something that feels right, and it feels like you just did. What do you have?
A 4?
Okay. What one? What was it? Was it red?
Black?
Okay.
Spades?
Okay. Interesting. And did you go for, it felt like you actually changed a number of elements of it. It felt like it kind of moved. It felt like you had something like a picture card. It felt like, did you have a queen in mind for a second?
Maybe.
Maybe. But eventually you just got to this point where it moved and you had this 4.
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you remember at the beginning, before we began, I put a card in my pocket? Mm-hmm. Before I asked you to name one? You did great. You ready?
Yeah.
10 of clubs.
Bro, what?
I put a card in my pocket that I wanted you to say. This is the thought that I wanted in your head, and you did brilliantly, man.
Yo, what the heck? Yo. This guy's legit, bro. This is crazy.
So the 7 of hearts. Okay. Now this is just one that you saw inside of your mind. Do you have any idea why? Look. I put one in my pocket before we began. You did really well.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah.
How the pull out a 7 of diamonds? I don't like the way you did that.
2 of clubs, right? Take it.
That's nice. You don't always watch these and I'm so skeptical. I'm like, there's no way. It's bullshit. That's crazy, man.
Well, hello, and congratulations, because you are about to become a Jedi. Maybe congratulations after you've become a Jedi, but you're on your way. A Jedi mind trick is here for you. This is just one of the things that I couldn't live without when it comes to card magic. I absolutely love it. Now, if I talk about the history of this, I'm trying not to talk for an hour on this very trick, effect, thing. But, excuse me, if we look at the fundamental methodology, this was often used as an out. If someone, you got a card wrong, right? And you messed up and someone, oh, what is it? And you just spread through, look for the card, palm it out and produce it from a pocket, right? I remember doing that out. I think there's in the Encyclopedia of Card Magic, C.O. Williams has a card to pocket like this, and it's older than that, I assume. But if you really look at it, every time I did that when I was younger, that out got a better reaction than whatever I was about to do. And I remember noticing that. And instead of thinking, haha, aren't laymen silly? Aren't they fickle? I thought, no, there's something in this. There's something they're not seeing. And they didn't understand that I'd failed at all. They thought that I was just going for this card, and that's what happened. And so I started kind of really trying to figure out how I can make this moment really powerful. What are the small nuances? What are the ways I can go in and out of it in order to make this feel real? So that's really what I do. And look, at the end of the day, there are many ways to actually present this. As you'll know here on the Unreal Card Magic project, the idea of me palming off a card happens a lot, and I could produce it from a pocket. I could make this seem like a card to pocket, but this is not how this is pitched or presented. What I'm doing is I'm creating the impression that they are picking up on something, that I've either put an idea in their mind or they have picked up on an idea that already exists. If I just did a routine and at some point I got something wrong and I clicked my fingers and it appeared in my pocket, then that's a card traveling to the pocket. That's not what this is. In this, I put a card in my pocket to begin with, and then I say, I want to see if you can pick up on something. At the end, I take it out and I show that it's right. This isn't me getting it right, it's them getting it right. And that's why I like this so much. It's the idea of placing an idea in the head. And so the way I do that is, to start with, I say, I want to show you a Jedi mind trick, kind of a Jedi mind trick. It's interesting. And even just saying that alone creates this idea. I say it a little bit tongue in cheek, but it's this idea, of a Jedi mind trick. What does that look like? And I'll say to them, look, if I said, don't think about Paris, you're already thinking about Paris. If I said, don't think about the Empire State Building, if I said, don't think about a pineapple, you can't help it. You already are. And that's because the information is already in that statement. There's nothing you can do about it. The information is there. And this is a kind of a classic thing. Don't think about a black cat. Don't think about a pink elephant. You can't help it. And so I say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say anything like that. All I'm going to do is I'm going to try and put the idea of a playing card inside of your mind without saying anything, okay? I won't say what it is, and I want to see if you can pick up on it. And as I'm doing that, I have some preparation that I've made. In my pocket is already the 3 of hearts, okay? This is already in my pocket before we begin. Now, you don't have to do this, and I'll talk at the end about ways of doing it without this. 3 of hearts is already in my pocket. And when I spread through, I say, I'm going to see if you can pick up on a playing card, but I'm not going to say what this is. And I just take out the 7 of hearts, okay? And I put this in my pocket. Now, all you have to do is remember which way around they are. For me, I put the 7 on the outside because it's the bigger number, and that's the one on the outside that comes out. The 3 is smaller and closer, and so it's on the inside, closest to my body. You might have a different view, but it's up to you as long as you know which order they're in. So I'm going to see if you can pick up on it. But don't think about anything yet. Just blank your mind. Don't think about anything, otherwise you'll get it completely wrong. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a psychological force sequence designed to force the 7 or the 3 of hearts. And so I'll say, first of all, just blank your mind, don't have anything there. I want you to start thinking about the kind of color and the suit. And as I do that, I put my hand over my heart. I want you to just think about the color and the suit, and maybe you see the number. And what I do is I trace in the air a backwards 7, so that to them, it's a normal 7. If I trace a normal 7 to me, it's a backwards 7 to them. So I have to make sure through the air, for me, I trace a backwards 7. You'll see me do it on the performances. So I just want you to see a color and a suit and a number, and maybe the things down the middle. This is almost simulating a 3 or 1, 2, 3. You know, the things down the middle and the numbers like low in the corner. You might start to get that, or you might start to picture something else entirely. It might start to change. The point is that you'll slowly start to settle on something. Now, I am really genuinely in my mind trying to force the 7 or the 3 of hearts, especially the 7. That's everything. And I'm really trying to do it. And it doesn't matter at all if it doesn't happen. It does happen a lot. Sometimes I even have other 7s on top of the deck because 7s are so common. But often I don't need to. In fact, most of the time I do this with no setup whatsoever, which I'll get into in a minute. But for now, this is what I'm doing. And I'm trying to push them towards picking that 7 of hearts or that 3 of hearts. Now, at this point, I say, okay, so I can see that you're settling on something. In fact, I think you've already got something. What do you have? And then they'll say, now, if they say the 7 of hearts, I can reach in. I know where that 7 of hearts is, and I can take out that 7 of hearts. If they said the 3 of hearts, then obviously I can go in and I can take out that 3 of hearts. Now, they might not say it. Okay, which is going to be most of the time. This psychological force for me, I feel like I get it probably something like 40% of the time, 50% of the, I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. It's probably not that high. It's probably like 20 or 30, whatever it is. And it may not even be statistically significant. I don't really know. I don't care, in fact. Now, the first person I ever saw playing with psychological forces like this, I think, was Darren Brown. Darren was playing with these. There was a couple of other people, guys in America. I know that Banachek had played with some stuff, and I think Doc Hilford, some other people, not Doc Hilford, someone, I can't remember. There's a few people that had played with it, but it was interesting, but they're never surefire. They're just not. They're useful for kind of creating an edge or an advantage. In fact, I'll talk at the end about the biggest advantage for me with these and why I use them. But the point is this. If I say, okay, so you have something, what is it? Now, again, if they say the 7 at this point, I go, that's interesting. That's what you saw in your mind, the 7 of hearts. It was clear. Yes, I go, do you remember before we began? I put a card in my pocket, and they're going to remember. The way I put it in, obviously, they're going to remember that card. I go in, I take it out. Same for the 3. But this obviously isn't most of the time, is it? Most of the time, it's not going to be the case. They're going to say something different, and they may change their mind. So let's imagine that they say the King of Spades, okay? Random. And I go, and I have to just treat it like it's normal. I go, oh, okay, the King of Spades. Now there's a number of ways that I handle this. I might say something like, okay, that's interesting. Now, did you have something, so for example, did you have something like, it was either like a picture card or maybe like a number card, like it was like an 8 or a 2 or something in mind, or like a lower card first, or did you kind of go straight for you went straight for the king? Okay, interesting. Well, do you remember before we began? Right, and at this point I have that King of Spades in my palm. Okay, first time I went through because the light's sticky in here. I didn't see it. Anyway, never mind. I'll go in. Do you remember before we began? I put a card in my pocket. I'm still doing that while talking to them, bringing this out, right? You did really well. You saw the King of Spades. And I turned this around. And this is about them picking up on something, not me predicting it, okay? It's about them picking up on something. Now, obviously, they know that I'm a conduit to that. Somehow that's happened. But still, they feel that, oh my God, that's what I saw in my mind. It's still an experience they're having. This is really powerful. Now, how do you find cards right openly in front of people while looking for them? There's a number of ways. I've talked briefly on some of that in your hand on this project, but there's lots of ways. Here, for example, the key is this. Whenever they say the card, so I have one halfway down, let's say the Queen of Spades this time. If they say the Queen of Spades, I say, so you start to see the color, the color in the suit, and you see the number. You see the number. There we go. And maybe the things down the middle, the little number low in the corner, and maybe you start to picture something else. And tell, in fact, I feel like you have something already. What do you have? They say the Queen of Spades. I go, oh, if I immediately go the Queen of Spades and do this, it's like I'm looking for the Queen of Spades. So I can't do that. I just have to go, oh, that's really interesting. I have to stay with them in this moment, not with this or anything else. So I would say, oh, that's really interesting. The Queen. Now, did you think of something? And it's like now the thought occurs to me of something else. So I'll say, now, did you think, and now I look at this as means of an example, but now I'm in a different thought, disconnected from the Queen of Spades. So I'll run through that again. So they say, oh, so what was it? They say Queen of Spades. And I say, oh, that's really interesting. That's what you went for. Okay. Now, be honest. Before that, did you have like another card in mind? Maybe something like something lower, maybe even like an ace or something, or maybe like a low number, like a 2? Or did you kind of instantaneously like just see the Queen and like what happened? I asked them that question, and I'm listening, and I do want to know what they have to say. In a way, I'm interested in what that might be. But in this moment, I'm already palmed this Queen of Spades. So by referencing what they say first, interesting, Queen of Spades, we put that back in the middle. And then I go, okay, so now did you have another card in mind? Like something like, maybe like a low card, like a 2 or something, or, you know, even like an 8 or a 3 or so, or did you kind of like a number card, or did you go straight for that picture card? And I have this on top. And this time I actually cut it to the top. We can see this from above on the overhead. Like if I put that Queen of Spades in the middle, I'm gonna say, look, now did you have something else in mind, like a low card, like a 2? It feels like the reason I cut at that point was to show this card off. I'm just gonna say anything that appears here. Other times I might not. I might cull it like I did the first time. I said, now did you kind of have something else in mind, maybe like a 10? I thought you might have had a 10 or a 6 in mind first. No, this is culled on the back of the deck already. Oh no, here. There we go. So I go, no, but you kind of went straight for that Queen of Spades. You saw a picture card. And in this moment is when I'm going to palm this card off. And I just allow this to drift away. I allow this to drift over to this side or something. And I go, do you remember before we began? And often I'll gesture a little bit. Before we began, I reach over, I put a card in my pocket, and I come out with this card like this. You did really well. Sometimes I just hand it to them, and then they'll just go, Jesus, this feels real. This feels absolutely real, completely real. At best, they'll think you got lucky or they got lucky, but this feels real. And often they're just in this place where they think, oh my God, how did you kind of know what I was going to say before I said it? Or did I pick up on it? What's going on? This is not you just, getting their card. This feels like you really are inside of their mind. This idea of just being able to look through and find it right in front of them by either cutting or just looking through and culling will feel impossible, but it really isn't. It all comes down to your attitude. It all comes down for your reason for going through. If they say a card, 6 of diamonds, and you go, oh, and immediately start spreading them, why else are you looking? You're obviously looking for the 6 of diamonds. If they say the 6 of diamonds and you go, oh, that's really interesting. Did you go straight for that? Or did you kind of go much higher? Or did you go towards like a picture card or something? Did you see something maybe like, almost like a jack or, did you see like a jack or a king first? Or did you straight away, oh, you went straight for it. Okay, it's interesting, right? And in that position, I now have it. There's many ways that you can play that off, but it's the attitude of it. And I'm still going to have that clarity when I've got this moment of, okay, whatever it is, that's interesting, you changed, and then you went, but the 6, whatever it is, in this case, the Queen of Diamonds. But the Queen of Diamonds is what you settled on. That's what you really saw clearly. Yes. Okay. Do you remember before we began, I put one in my pocket? Okay. You create this clarity and this separation, hand this to them, turn this over. Another thing to do, by the way, if you've been palming this may be slightly bent as a result of the palm. So when I'm in the pocket and as I'm coming out, I make sure I kind of move that against my body and take out any of that bend so that it comes out straight, okay? Or as straight as possible. Now, there's a couple of things I also want to say about this. At the end of the day, I will do the verbal force or the psychological force regardless, even if I don't have a 7 and a 3 in my pocket. Because I feel it connects me to the process. When I'm doing this, I really am trying to place an idea in their head. And it doesn't matter whether it hits or doesn't. It looks exactly the same. The only reason for me really doing it isn't to get that extra clean hit, really. It actually just kind of forces me to actively really go for something. Sometimes I don't even bother with the 3. I just put the 7 of hearts in there. And it just really forces me to go for that 7 of hearts. It makes me feel like I really am doing what I'm saying. That's what it feels like. And as a result, they can kind of feel that and they pick up on it too. It's congruent. So that's the reason that I do that. No matter what. Even if I don't have the time to put one in my pocket for whatever reason, and I haven't got one in there, I will just do that anyway. I imagine that it really is in there because I know it doesn't matter what it is. It's going to be the same anyway. It forces me to connect to the moment. It makes me feel like I'm doing it for real, and they pick up on it. They can feel something was going on there. And it was. That thing they felt wasn't successful. Doesn't mean that I couldn't resolve the whole piece, but that's what they're feeling. This is part of the kind of deceptive element of psychology. It's kind of, understanding your psychology and how it impacts them is just as much a part of the equation. So I want to make myself as authentic as possible without lying or acting. I'm not trying to pretend I can read minds. Instead, I've got a process that I'm doing. I've got this card in my pocket. I'm going to try and force you to pick up on it. I'm going to use these subtle signals to get you to pick up on it. I'm really going for it. And when you do, I just think, oh, great. And I take it out. And when you don't, I think it doesn't matter. I'm now going to go into a different structure. Okay. So I do that no matter what. I'm not just saying words to make it seem that way. And then I really am trying to force that card. It's an opportunity for me to kind of be connected and present within this moment. The thing is, at the end of the day, this lives inside every deck. If you just give me a deck of cards, I can create this impression. I'll go through and I'll just take out that 7. So look, I'm gonna see if you can pick up on a card for me. I'll put this in the pocket, right? And I just say, right, I'm gonna see if you can pick up. I don't think of anything yet, and I just go for it. This lives in every deck of cards that you have. And you can create this idea that they can pick up on something. It's a great way to either end. I never know whether it's a great beginner or ender, because sometimes I love doing this cold with someone. It just messes their minds up. Other times it's so clean. You can do this at the end of something else. This lives inside every single deck of cards, and it uses incredibly simple methodology. It just involves looking through the cards and cutting them, or culling. It doesn't matter. You don't need the cut. The cut, anyone that knows me, see me do it, see me cut just as much as I've culled. Turning these over and very casually and slowly palming that card, just not in a big way, not in a rushed way. You've got no funny angles. There's no transfers, just casual. And just going back to your pocket slowly and removing it. This is an absolute killer, and this really does feel real. Really, the reality is that you're being an actual Jedi, because when you say to them, do you want to see a Jedi mind trick? You have. Maybe not methodologically how they might think it might work, but you've explained nothing about method, but you have created the impression of them picking up on something they couldn't know. The experience they have could really only be created by a Jedi. And that's really what you're doing in this. You're kind of, for me, I just feel like, wow, I'm actually creating that impression. I've got some very interesting tactics to be able to create that impression. I don't look at this as a lie or just a trick. I am creating that impression. I put this card in my pocket. I say, I'm going to see if you can pick up on it. Don't think about it yet. Boom, 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 boom. They say this card. I take that out of my pocket. Boom. That is the exact experience they have. So to me, this is, again, part of that authentic feeling. And this is why I say, I want to show you a Jedi mind trick. I want to, put the idea of something inside of your head. If I said, don't think about the Empire State Building, you can't help it, you are. But I'm not really going to say anything like that. But nevertheless, I'm going to see if I can put an idea in your head. The idea that I've actually put in my head is the fact that I can do this for real in a way. The whole structure is the idea you're putting in their head. That is the Jedi mind trick. This is why I love magic so much, because you can get such extraordinary magic and such kind of cool things from such incredibly simple means if you know how to use them. And that's why structure, technique, and psychology all have to work together in order to create something powerful. This will always be something that I do, and I absolutely love it. And if you give it the right time and attention, I guarantee you, it will just, there's so many card tricks out there that are designed to try and get you to think of a card or whatever it is. Trust me, everything you already have. It's sitting right inside every single deck of cards. You just got to kind of play the game like a Jedi. So practice, have fun, blow minds.